All right, trade pros, welcome to today's midday update. We are coming at you guys a little bit later than normal, but we're doing some exciting stuff behind the scenes here, uh, and so that's taking up our time. So if you guys are in here, I do appreciate you guys showing up. I'm gonna give this another moment or so to get whoever wants to watch in here, and then we'll go ahead and get started. And let's take a quick peek at some of the news that came out this morning and some of the drivers that came through during the US session. Georgie covered a majority of what came in this morning with regards to some of the data coming through. We only really had one major piece of information, and even then, you wouldn't consider it major. It's considered a medium impact event, but the actual figure that came out was pretty high impact, simply because of the what's the right word? Simply because of how big the miss was. We also did have natural gas inventory. So we had Chicago PMI number came in at 9:45 a.m. and we also had natural gas storage numbers come through at 10:30 a.m. All right, so not that much in terms of actual economic data come through. As we mentioned yesterday, guys, the biggest headline driver for this week was Wednesday, and that's exactly what we saw. We got actually, it wasn't as exciting as we kind of anticipated. It was a bit more of a dud than anything else, but it tends to be the case that the days following the FOMC statement, especially if they cut, I don't know if you guys have been watching around this week, we've been showing you those charts, and today's price action is kind of indicative of, the stock market. We were at all-time highs when this rate cut came in, and yes, there was an initial impulse to fresh highs at 30.55, but surprise, surprise, we're at session lows at this point in time, and that's kind of the trend that we've been seeing. I don't really think the sell side is over here yet. We might dump a little bit deeper, but as it stands, we did press fresh highs and we've sold off of those. So I'll show you guys what my charts look like in a second. I just figured we go through some of the drivers in the US session. So again, that October Chicago Purchase Managers Index, that came in at 43.2 versus 48, and this, guys, is the lowest reading since December 2015. Pretty nice little sell-off on the initial reaction on the back of that. That one came in at 9:45, and what we saw was the futures sold off a little bit, just kind of slightly on the back of that, while the T-notes and gold rose modestly. So a little bit of a dip on this front, whilst gold and those T-bonds kind of caught a little bit of a rebound on the back of that news. The other major one this morning was Trump. He kind of again criticized Jay Powell, and we also had a squawk come through with regards to the China-US relations. So overnight, a big one was that China was said to doubt any long-term trade deal was possible with President Trump. Georgie kind of covered that throughout the morning update. During the US session, Trump came on again and he mentioned that China and US are working on selecting a new site for signing of phase one of trade agreement, about 60% of the total deal, after the APEC in Chile was canceled due to unrelated circumstances. New location will be announced soon. President Xi and President Trump will do signing. All right, so again, this is very typical of Trump, as the market was around overnight lows, was around session lows. Really comes as no surprise that Trump's trying to prop this thing up by giving the market optimism that a trade deal is going to be hit. All right, so again, this is another one of the themes that we've seen over really the last almost 12 months now, since this China-US trade war has started to heat up. We've been seeing a lot of that. All right, that's really all that we had on the front of. Oh, something just came through here. US President Trump says under some Brexit circumstances, the UK would be precluded from doing a trade deal with the UK. That doesn't make any sense. Never mind that one, guys. So that's basically what we have as far as the squawks. Nothing else on the agenda for the remainder of today's session, as the next headline risk is focused on tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. And yeah, that's about it. So NFP tomorrow we will be doing with the team. Let's say hello to everybody in here. William, what's going on? Samtel. I don't think that's your name, but hello. George, good to see you in here. Titan, good to see you. Gerald, good afternoon. Gerald, if you're in here and if you're looking for live trades, live signals, this is not the place that you're going to find them. So I prefer to set the expectations here right away that you're not going to be getting any live trades on this, nor do we provide live trades in our trading room. So if this is what you're looking for at this point in time, I'd kind of suggest searching elsewhere because that's not what you'll find in here. All right, so we've taken care of that. Let's jump onto the actual charts. And today's session is going to be a little bit different than the usual ones, just because I'm too lazy to switch my chart books. And so I've got my actual live account chart book open here. All right, so what you guys are seeing up top, ES 500, we've traded around 1 million contracts, just over 1.1 million. Awesome, welcome Sam. So 1.1 million contracts on the ES. Daily change percentage shows us down 0.66%. Not the most accurate statistic just because this thing calculates the daily change percentage based off of the Globex Open and not the US Open. So US Open was at 30.4275, so a little bit lower than this. We are below that, and we are below the previous day close, I believe. Let me just confirm that. Yeah. Yeah, we are below, I believe, the previous day close. I'm not sure why my charts aren't showing that at the moment, but we are below that. So session is bearish today, and again, not really coming as much of a surprise, as this is kind of what we were anticipating and showing you guys on the trading view charts throughout the week. All right, crude oil, again, okay volume, 500,000 contracts, 534. We are down just under 2%. Crude has been the mover today. Crude's been really the nice market. S&P 500 also did move, but really coming into around 10:30, right around that midday reversal. We caught our lows of the session right around those 30.20s. What is it? 30.20 quarter. That's the current low on today's session. And we're currently trading at the 26.3 quarter, so a little bit of a bounce. We'll see where this thing goes from here. I'm thinking this is just a little bit of a buy stop run before the sellers kick this thing back down. All right, so that's kind of what I'm watching for. I'll show you guys on the chart in just a second. But that's essentially where we are in the scheme of things. All right, so that's the quote board. Let me drag in my crude oil pivot charts here. All right, so crude oil pivot charts, again, going back to what we were saying earlier this week, we had that break below that previous swing low here. We had that rotation up, and we made a lower high, and we've been saying bearish, bearish pressures looking to be coming in. The fact that we kind of made a double top here, broke those lows. That was on the 25th, which I think was the beginning of this week. And that was the end of last week, right? So end of last week, a little bit of bearish sentiment, and then into this week, we got that breakdown, the rotation higher, and we said, earlier in the week, watch for sell side pressure to start stepping into this market, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. So markets are slowly starting to move. There's some volatility. I'm not sure if any information just came through. Vicky? Nah? Did anything come through on the squawk? Market just dumped. Market just dumped a little bit. I don't know. It just got a little volatile here. That's the newest one. All right, that's not the newest one. All right, never mind that, guys. So here's crude oil. Sorry, guys, I'm just watching Spoos on the other chart, and she just moved. So crude oil bounced off of R1, bounced off of pivot, broke below S1, bounced off of S2. So you guys are seeing kind of like a stair stepper on the way down. And so what it's been doing is breaking these levels, rotating, continuing lower, breaking, rotating. This time it held and we bounced back. So a little bit of bullish momentum short term here into the S1. That comes in at 54.30s. All right, guys, so that's where we're sitting on the current session. And if I open up my 10-tick chart here, what you guys will see is that we've had, a bearish session. There's no denying it. All right, so we had off the open a little bit of a dip, a little bit of a rally, a little bit of a dip, a little bit of a rally, and then once we got back below the open here and we held that, you guys are seeing, or you guys see that there was nice wicks to the upside, showing us selling pressure, kind of holding down the buying, and nice sell off from there. I know a lot of the team caught that. I didn't catch any of this personally. I was watching Spoos today. Then we started bottoming out here right around these 53.70s. I believe some of the team caught a nice little fade around these 53.71s into these range highs. And so we've retested the opening range lows here. We've kind of hovered around them, dipped a bit lower, didn't quite get into these bids. But what you are kind of seeing is that these bids are starting to move up a little bit, while these guys are staying kind of static. You didn't really see them move down as the market was coming through here. So that was something interesting to note. Typically, when you're going to get lower prices, you're going to see stuff like this where these offers are starting to move lower and lower and lower. In this case, these offers are just staying here. They're not coming towards price, nor are they kind of running away from price. All right, so at the moment, some selling liquidity sitting right around that VWAP, right around the open value area low, and right around that opening range high as well, right around those 54.40s to those 50s. So that's kind of what I'm looking at as the potential target here. You know, the fact that we, even though it is bearish, we have rotated up. We've come down in here. This is kind of the last line in the sand before we can run up here. If the sellers do hold this, then we could see a potential run into these bids. The real question is, if these guys are so bearish, why are they still sitting down there, and why aren't they kind of trying to get closer to price where they can actually get a fill for the run up? All right, so as long as this thing's kind of trading up here, and as it's trading higher, these bids aren't moving, that's not really showing me much enthusiasm to push these things higher. All right, so that is what we've got on that front. Looking at the order flow little screen here, this is kind of a little sneak peek behind the scenes what we actually use. We are coming into a level where we are starting to see some sellers coming through. You can see there was some buying aggression happening down, you know, these 5404s to the 08s. But that being said, the top of the range is right around where we're just rotating off of. So sellers came in right near those highs. You guys can see right at that level we had sellers coming in. So rotates, comes up, rotates. Now we're seeing a little bit of selling come through. So we'll see if these guys can hold, if it can kind of hold rotations in this zone. Maybe we'll get that continuation lower. But ultimately, the way it's kind of looking is what we just saw here, a little bit of a rotation up, aggressive buying. If I draw that kind of, not the straightest line across, but if I draw that line across, you can see we rotated right back to that zone. More buying balances came through, and then we continued higher. So, you know, that being said, I think the downside might be a little bit tight here. Even if you do get a rotation up, this is kind of the level that you'd be looking to take profit into, and that's not really the most exciting trade. You know, 18's down. I mean, you can take a dime on it if you try it, but ultimately, I think the trying to get long somewhere in here, you know, shorter term, if it comes in there, gives you some buying balances, you might be able to catch that run up to that VWAP. I really think that's the next target. Right up in that region. Once it gets into that region, I think we'll have extended the bullish momentum, and then at that point, I could rather build a case for the sellers to come in and press this thing right back on down. All right, that's what I got on crude oil. And let me pull up my S&P 500 chart here for you guys. All right, so there's the S&P 500 chart, and where's my actual pivots? Here's my pivots. All right, so we'll start off on this guy first. All right, so this is the 1 hour chart, and I really like this 1 hour chart. I'm gonna hide these pivot points for the moment, and because what I want you guys to focus on is just the structure here. So what you will see, if I kind of make this a little bit tighter here, is that we've been having, you know, higher lows coming through. Each time it's pressed to new highs, we've rotated lower, but it's kind of been the trend where we've been making higher lows. So you can see here, we had a new breakout, rotates down, forms a higher low. New breakout, rotates down, higher low. Kind of new breakout here now, rotates down, higher low, another breakout, rotates down. All right, this was the first kind of indication where we broke below that level. That still wasn't the case. Generally, what happens when that first low is broken is we get another swipe of the top of the range. And if that fails and we get back down below that original swing low that originally broke that previous time, now you're likely on for the short side. All right, so as it stands, above 30.50, not above, below 30.50, and kind of below this 5-day point of control in these 30.40s. As long as we stay below that level, I think the sell pressure is going to hold, to stay strong. All right, and so what I'm seeing at the moment is we are kind of retesting that previous swing low. What I'd like to see is a nice strong breakout of that. If that happens, then we can start looking for rotations to start attacking those previous swing lows that we made on this climb on up. All right, so that's what the 1 hour chart's kind of showing me. So yes, it's been bullish over the last week or so, but yesterday's price action and today's action is starting to get me leaning towards short-term selling pressure. All right, and now if you're looking at the actual pivot charts, what you will see is we started off. We start above the pivot? Yeah, we started up above the pivot, sold off below the pivot. So we broke pivot, broke S1, rotated up into S1, held that as resistance. You can see there was 2 hours that we spent today holding that level as resistance, and now we're kind of pulling on off. And so at this point, I'm kind of looking for a continuation lower, maybe down into that S2 around those 30.14 quarters or the halves. Right, so that is what the pivot chart is showing me. Let me drag that sucker on. Oh, and let's have a quick peek now at these charts. All right, so if I kind of scrunch this up a little bit, what you will see here is on the back of that FOMC report yesterday, that was around 4, or not 4, 2:30. You see we did hit fresh highs. Since that, we've kind of been making lower lows and lower highs off the open, aggressive sell-off here. All right, we bounced off of 3020s, rotated up to that pit view app, kind of double top there, and then we sold off. My only issue with this right now is we're kind of in consolidation, and the reason, not that I have an issue with this, but what I would like to have seen in order for a more clear trend is for this low to have broken. I would have liked to see that low break on good volume. That way we could have caught a rotation and then sell it back off. Right now we're kind of in no man's land, and so you've got this level here, which should provide support. All right, and then if I take my horizontal ray out and I draw a little ray at the previous swing high here, let's make that red. Oops, and let's make it bigger. There we go. All right, guys, so that's kind of the range that we're kind of stuck in at the moment, between these 3020s and these 20 or these 33 halves. All right, and so yes, I would have loved to see this low break, but as it stands, I think sellers are in control so long as we remain below these 33 halves. Back above here, if the market can get back above here, above that VWAP, we'll likely make a run back towards the open. So that's not what I want to see for this, short thesis. If it comes back up into the top of this range here, the trend is still lower lows and lower highs, and we're in a consolidation. All right, so even though we're in a consolidation, the overlying trend is bearish. So it's, how can I say this? It's a bit better to try another short up around this area here in the direction of the trend. It's less risky to do that than to try to catch a fade off of these lows in a downtrend. All right, so pick and choose what your poison is, but at the end of the day, the safer bet is to let the market climb up here. That means anybody that's short down here that's getting squeezed out, right? Any of that liquidity, you're looking for the buying momentum to kind of fizzle out as it gets into there, which is going to give you enough space from that region to this region for a potential profit. All right. You don't really want to be selling it as it's climbing up. You kind of want to let the buying momentum fizzle out, something like what you see here. You want to let the buying momentum fizzle out. And then once you start seeing the momentum fizzle out, then you can try a short. It doesn't make sense to just set a limit and hope for the best. All right, so that's kind of what I'm seeing here. Really, my two options at this point. I'm showing you guys, I'm not looking to get a long, to be quite honest. But what I'd be looking to do here is either rotation up into there, look to sell it back down, or wait for it to actually get like a fresh, nice clean breakout back below those range lows in the 30-20s. Then give us another rotation up into the previous day low, and then we'll look to sell it back down. So 30-12s, that's my initial target on this downside. If we can get those 20s to break, below that, what you guys are seeing is you got some bid interest right around the 3,000 level and right around the 2990s or so. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking at here. Trend is down. Look to stay on that side. And looking at my footprint chart here. All right, looking at my footprint chart here. Let's see what's happening. All right, looking at my footprint chart here, you can argue that I mean, you guys can see this. I do apologize for anybody watching if you are colorblind, but I'm just going to use these examples here. So you got the blue and the red imbalances, all right? Buying aggression, selling aggression. If you just take a look at this zone right now, all right, who would you say is in control in this area? Who would you say is in control? All right, is there more buying happening in here, or is there more selling happening in this region? All right, can anybody answer that that's watching? Who's stronger in this region right here? Are the buyers or the sellers? Just gonna wait to see if you guys, there's a bit of a delay here. Exactly, guys. There's more buyers happening in here right now, right? So if you're short, you know, anything that you're seeing on this footprint chart, this is executed transactions. If you see anything on here, this is not limits. This isn't, I got a limit on the DOM at 24. I'm waiting to get filled. This 234 means that 234 people bought right at that level. We can see that. All right. So we're seeing that each time it's kind of coming down into these 25s, right? First time through, big buy imbalances comes up. Then we get selling interest coming in, which is fine. Sellers cause a rotation lower, right? Sellers get aggressive right into this region. And then you get another buy imbalance here. Next rotation up, another buy imbalance. Next rotation down, more buy imbalances, right? And what you're seeing here is, yes, there were some selling imbalances. There were sellers that came in here, right? But right after that selling, you should have seen continuation lower. We're not seeing that. We're seeing rotates up, buying coming in, rotates up, buying coming in, more buying, more buying, more buying, no selling. So if you're a seller that got short these 25 3/4, these 25 quarters, right? As the price is failing to do what you're looking for it to do, you're going to start to get nervous. All right. What happens when short sellers get nervous? Hopefully I can catch this real time for you guys on these charts, right? So we're seeing some big offers sitting up here. All right at these 32s. In fact, there are 1,200 of them sitting up at those 32. So you can imagine that's a bit of a price magnet, right, guys? Let's see if we can see this real time here, right? As we start approaching this level, right, these sellers down here, these guys are already nervous. You can imagine if you got short in these 25s and prices now at 27.25, you're feeling a little bit nervous. You're going to want to buy to get back or to cover your position. What does a seller have to do to get out? They have to buy. What does a buy do? Kind of fuels the price to the upside. All right. So this is kind of the last line in the sand here, right around these 27.75, 28. If you get a nice pop, if this thing goes bid, we should see a pretty quick move back up higher. All right. But what you're seeing right now, some sellers tried to come in, right? There's sellers defending this level real time. All right. So there's a little bit of a fight here, but ultimately, just understand the fact that, we do have some offers sitting up at those 32s. We are seeing aggressive buying, kind of defending this 25, this level right in here. All right, so long as we kind of remain above that level, we should be in pretty okay standing, right? So from this point, we're either going to see one of two things. We're going to see, you guys are seeing these buying balances. Who do you think's buying right here? It's probably these guys that got short. These guys might be getting a little bit nervous trying to get out of their position before it pops. All right, so we had sellers and sellers got short here. If we can go green above one or two ticks above these levels, it should be a pretty quick little pop on higher. See if our friends are there. And you guys see that right there? Look who moved. Those sell offers right here. These guys at the 32s, they're not there anymore. Look where they're at, 35. So if you got sellers that are moving from the 32s up to the 35s as price is starting to drift higher, what does that tell you? That tells you these guys don't really want to get filled here. They think they can get better prices. They think they can get filled short at better prices. All right, and so that's kind of how the market moves, guys. This is order flow trading in its finest. It's watching what the market's doing, right? I kind of want to keep this on just to see if we get that pop. And it's taking its time because it's 1:30, but let's see if we can get that pop for you guys. All right, so now sellers came in right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. All right, so right here, 28 orders. Some sellers coming in here trying to scare the price lower. Let's see if they succeed. Right, at the same time, what you guys are seeing, previous highs. Look at NASDAQ. NASDAQ just broke those previous highs. So this is where correlations, this is where all of the order flow tools start coming into play. Based on what we're seeing, SPOOS should pop. Here we go. Here we go. Let's see if we can get that nice pop. All right, so sellers came in, more buying balances, more buying balances. All right, so it looks like sellers are feeling in trouble here. You guys see nice buying balance. Where is that? 1, 2, 3 ticks above where this selling happened. This should be aggressive upside coming through here, guys. Let's see how NASDAQ's looking. NASDAQ's continuing to climb. She's got some space to go into the overnight low, maybe the VWAP. Let's see what we got for you guys here. So this is going to be obviously a bit a bit longer of a recording, but I think there's great value here for you guys to show you what it looks like in real time, what order flow looks like in real time. Right. Any questions from you guys in the live chat room? Where are these offers? Now the offers are gone. All right, now you guys see as I'm looking on this screen here. Where did my tool go? On my side here, you're not really seeing any more yellow. Right, that means these guys have ran off of the ladder. Right, so not as aggressive as a move. It is kind of 134. Ideally, this is the kind of price action you'd be looking at during the U.S. Cash open right around 9:30 to 11. That's when we tend to get a little bit more movement and volatility. But overall, we kind of walked you guys through that little pop there. And I still think I'm kind of on the side that we're going to continue on higher here. It's just a little bit of a slower part in the session here. All right, so I'm still watching. Are these guys still on here? No, these guys aren't on here anymore. Ah, that's the red line I drew. All right, so still would like to see a move on up. You got that value area low here, and you've got the US session VWAP. All right, that's kind of hanging around right here. Really, the level that I'm looking for it to trade up into is right around that VWAP. All right, so hope you guys enjoying this one. One thing you can do to qualify, let's say you got long somewhere down before this little pop, and you're watching Nasdaq. What you want to see from Nas is you want to see Nasdaq kind of hold that support and then continue on. All right, and you've got correlations here as well. You want to see these guys remain pressed up. If you start seeing this rolling over like this, then you can look to get paid. Right, but what you're seeing here, another good sign to watch for is looking for sell imbalances to show up and then for those to get erased. That's also showing, buyers are absorbing that selling pressure. All right, so I'm going to leave this running here to see if we can actually reach up into our zone, and I'll answer some of the questions that are coming through here on the chat. So let's see what we've got going on. We've said hello to everybody. Caesar, hello. Any book recommendations for technical trading? Um, Caesar, I have kind of an issue with books. With trading books. Not that I have an issue with trading books, but my issue with it is kind of the fact that if you're looking, here's an example. Can you drive a vehicle after reading a book? Right? You can't really drive. It's not going to be easy to drive a car after reading a book, and I feel like that's what trading is as well. It's not really something that you can start applying successfully if you just read a book on it, right? So as far as books are concerned, the only kind of books that I'd recommend for trading are those books with regards to psychology. So I can definitely recommend a couple of those: Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas, The Disciplined Trader, either by Mark Douglas or Dr. Steenbarger. High Performance Trading by Steve Ward are a couple of good ones. The Daily Trading Coach by Dr. Steenbarger, I believe. Those ones are some good reads I'd highly suggest. As far as technical trading, you can use YouTube. We have a lot of content on our channel, and we're going to be working towards rejigging, kind of re-optimizing our playlists and everything, making things a lot easier for you guys to find. All right, so I would definitely recommend checking out some of that. And we've also got an exciting series on technical trading coming out shortly. So keep an eye out on there. What I would recommend you to do is to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and to go ahead and click on that notification bell so that when those videos do drop, you're not going to be missing out on that. All right, so that's what we got. Let's see what we got. You guys nailed it. Buyers, good stuff. Thanks for that. Naren, yeah, exactly. They're really strong indicator, or not. I don't want to call them indicators. They're just tools that we use, right? But they're really strong. I mean, order flow. If you're going to be day trading, order flow is um, I don't know. I've traded a lot of strategies. I've been trading since 2012, I think I started, and I've done everything: candlesticks, bar charts, this and that. And I've been finding the most success once I started shifting over to order flow, where you can actually see, the real-time market auction happening and make educated decisions based on that. All right. Um, Titan, we can take a look at gold shortly. Um, the Commodore. This is not NinjaTrader Commodore. This is Sierra Chart. Um, we do get quite a few questions with regards to NinjaTrader. None of us use it here, but as far as we are aware, there is a order flow suite available in NinjaTrader. So while we wouldn't necessarily support that, it's definitely by all means something that you can use. We just don't really have much support as far as that, because we use Sierra charts here pretty religiously. All right, so that idea kind of taking its time here. What you are seeing, correlations starting to try to roll over. All right, so it's a bit of a quieter part of the session. We'll see here. Typically, what tends to happen, how you can kind of keep your trades qualified. right, is just to kind of watch how these buying balances hold, right? So there was a buying balance here, couple of buying balances stacked in there, right? So this region between these 27s and here on a rotation lower should hold. Ideally, you don't really want to see it get back below this little stack there. But this is kind of the nearest to that rotation, should hold, and we should get a continuation on, and that's kind of what you're watching for, right? If you're seeing buy imbalances form, that's a good sign. If you're seeing more sell imbalances come through, that might mean we might have a rotation coming through. All right, so again, something that you can keep an eye on. If you are long from the lows, you can look to get paid here, or if you're more patient, wait for it to come back down, see if it holds support. It's so close to that VWAP that Nazi usually tends to make a run up to that VWAP when it's this close. All right, so that's the ultimate target here. I don't think we're going to get back below this low here on the Nasdaq before we get to that VWAP. So that's just kind of how we're planning it there, seeing how this thing holds, and we'll leave that up there. Let me address some more of the questions that you guys have on here. Ishmael, are those large orders going to make the market go long or short? Ishmael, that's a really great question. Um, we cover this in the futures course, but a quick summary is that those orders are more of an indication of intent. It's not necessarily to say that those are going to be filled orders, right? So these days and age, after the, excuse me, guys, after the um, after the crash of 2008, 2009, there was a lot of algo activity started to come into the markets, especially around 2012ish. And so what these algos tend to do is they do what's known as spoofing. All right, so people will say, don't watch the DOM. These algorithms are able to spoof you. And that is true to a case, but what you can tell is you know when those orders are up there, that could be a potential magnet. What you want to watch is you want to watch those orders, and you want to watch what price is doing, right? If there's a big magnet sitting up here and you're seeing buyers starting to accumulate, you're seeing buy imbalances in rotations, and let's say there's a big order on offer sitting right there, and then nowhere near price to the downside, there's no big bids, then we're likely going to reach up into that region, right? And it doesn't mean that we're going to trade into it, right? Those offers can cut and they can move higher, but that becomes a target for the market to reach towards, right? The markets move to and through liquidity. All right. um I hope that helps. Titan, yes. This Sierra chart platform, unfortunately, it can only be run on a PC operating system. We do have a bunch of traders in our community that are running parallels. They're running Bootcamp. Some are running VM Fusionware. So it's you're not going to need to get a PC set up if you're looking to use Sierra charts. You're just going to have to use one of the alternatives, those being, VMware Fusion or VM Fusionware, something like that. Um, or the Bootcamp and Parallels are some of the options. Let's see who else is in here. What membership do I need to? Um, is that IS? IS, the membership types. So each morning we run these kinds of, we run this from 9 a.m. till 11 a.m. Eastern time. And then we sign off, and then we jump onto our elite trading room. So let me show you guys what that looks like. While I do that, Caesar, yeah, we primarily trade ES and CL. Those are our two main futures markets. That's not to say that we won't trade other products, but a majority of what we do trade is ES and CL. And the reason why is because they're the most liquid markets. We enjoy trading those, and they tend to be the most active at the time that we're in front of the screens. So that's why we enjoy ES and CL. Um, that being said, sometimes we'll trade Nasdaq, not as often, more so as a correlation kind of trade if it's lagging the other equity indices or if it's leading. and that's pretty much why we do it. But sometimes we'll trade gold. We haven't been trading it as actively, but gold was a pretty good market in the last 2 months or so. So yeah, we trade a lot of what moves, but I'd say 90% of our trading happens to be ES and CL during the cash session. All right. So that is majority of these questions. Can you actually tell by a stack if it's bullish or bearish and how? Commodore, well, are you Commodore? Are you referring to a stack of these imbalances, these buy or sell imbalances, or with regards to the inventories? Let me know in there, and I can go ahead and approach that answer for you. All right. Here is Nasdaq, guys. A little bit of a pullback. Again, didn't really want to see it get back down below that level. But this is kind of a region where we should start seeing some bullish, if the bulls want to defend this thing and drive this back to new highs, this is the level it's got to come into. So guys, this is going back to IS's question. IS, if you, here's our website. Ingo, awesome. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate that. So Ingo, here's the two programs or the two memberships that would get you the daily trading room. So you get Pro Trader, and then there's Elite Trader as well. So the main difference between these two, right? So you got three, right? So Swing Trader, this is more so for swing traders. This is kind of if you're looking to do this more passively, there's not really any day trading involved in this one. So if you're strictly about options or forex on a longer term basis, more so for generating wealth than cash flow income, this is kind of the package you go into. For these types of interactions, we do this on a daily basis, and that's available to pro traders or elite traders. The main difference between these two is that the elite is kind of your creme de la creme, and the pro traders more of a it's still a creme de la creme, but you don't get everything that's available to you as part of Elite. So with Pro Trader, you'll get basically the same thing as you would with Swing Trader, right? Then you also get the additional Day Trader course. Then you get access to the live trading room each morning and 24/7 support, et cetera, et cetera. You get the 14-day money back guarantee. The Elite bundle, this one is the best bundle. Usually, if there's somebody that's kind of stuck in between whether I go pro or elite, you know, it may sound biased, but the elite one is really the one with the most value in it because you get everything that you get in the Pro Trader, plus you get the trading psychology course. This one's huge. You get the morning room, and then you get the extended room. So from 9 to 11, that's available in Pro. Then under Elite, you get also 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We also have a room run at 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's handled by our trader David out of Hawaii. So this one tends to be the one where we see a lot more focus on, gold, on some of the other assets because they tend to be a little bit more volatile overnight session. And then the other added benefit of the Elite is that you get news trading. So for example, FOMC yesterday, we opened up the room with our Elite traders, caught some of the volatility, and tomorrow morning, anything that's outside of these normal hours, any big announcements such as NFP comes out around 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. So we'll be in the room tomorrow early at 8:15, and we're going to run that with the team. Then we're going to sign into our daily live trading room. So that's all available to you guys through there. And while I got you guys on here, I can show you a little bit of a sneak peek of what the dashboard actually looks like here. Um, all right, so this is what's going on here. Let me just change to my status to elite here. All right, and here we go. All right, so here is the dashboard, and you get those courses. The day trading course is all in here. So if you sign up, this is available to elites and So for elite traders, you'd get the full futures day trading order flow course. We re-recorded this one in March or April of 2019. So this is, fresh, brand new, using what we're currently using, and we've kind of stripped out what has stopped working or stopped being as effective, and we've kind of kept on what's working and what's been giving us good success. So one thing about us that you guys will notice is that we always make sure that we stay up to date with everything, right? So whether it's strategies, whether market conditions change, we always make our course and our content is based on what's currently happening, because you don't want to be learning a strategy from 2008 that worked in 2008, and now you're going out there trying to use a 2008 strategy in the world of algorithms, and you're going to get destroyed. So one of the things that's top of our focus is making sure that you guys stay up to date with what's working and what's relevant to today's markets, right? So that's what you'll find in the futures course. You also get a detailed brokerage account opening walkthrough. You get the Sierra chart installation and template files. And we also have a Sierra chart tutorial course as well. You get the chart book already pre-baked, right? So as soon as you sign up, you can download the chart books. If you are one of the type of people that likes to get to know their program, ins and outs of the program, this is what you'd want to watch. And then the big one here is the trading psychology course. This guy's 7 lessons, 1 hour each. It uses neurolinguistic programming and gives you actionable exercises to kind of identify the ways that your subconscious mind tends to self-sabotage us in trading, and it offers actionable, exercises and solutions to identify those in real time, stop them as they're happening, so that you nip those bad habits in the butt. All right, that's the trading psychology course. Another big resource here: monthly coaching calls. So we do one of these coaching calls every month, and you can see here, these are some of the coaching calls that we've done. So in addition to the course, on a monthly basis, we do this coaching call with the elite session. And you can see we go through some awesome subjects. A lot of what we do here is in supplement or complementary to the futures course. So a lot of great resources on there. And if that's not enough, we got more. We got more content for you guys. And that is in the way of the forums. So again, I'm not going to go through all of that. But on top of the actual course, you've got your daily sessions with us on the mics. We answer your questions similarly to how I'm doing here. We've got these forums as well, some additional strategies, order flow analysis tools, little things like this, for example, how to qualify a dip buying opportunity using real-time examples, how to use correlations effectively, how to identify inventory patterns, spotting trap traders, etc., etc. All of that is part of the forums. All right, guys. So there's a whole lot of content in here. We try to do our best with providing you guys as much value and as much content as possible, and we're here to see you guys succeed. So if this is something that is interesting to you, by all means, feel free to sign up. And if you don't feel like it's a good fit, we offer 14-day 100% money back guarantee. So if it's not a good fit, by all means, you don't have to stick around. You can cancel within 14 days and you'll get that money back. All right. So let me go back here and see what else. I guess you're predicting based on bids and asks and size of stack that will accept. Yeah. So Commodore, you're talking about the actual imbalances, right? So the imbalances, there's a lot that goes into whether it's bullish or bearish, but majority of what you want to do is you kind of want to look at the range, right? So like let's say we're in a range like this where we've come from, let's say these are the lows and these are the highs. All right, if you're getting a bunch of, like, let's say you've come into this region, you've tried to go down and then you rotate back up, break those highs, and now you're starting to consolidate with buy imbalances near the lows of that range. That typically tends to be bullish until you get to the upper end of the range. Once you get to the upper end of the range, once you get buy imbalances, it's likely buyers that thought it was too risky down here getting long near the top. And these are the guys that we look for to become trap traders. All right, so it all depends on the context of how you're viewing it, right? So in the context where it's lower in the range and you're getting buy imbalances near support, something like, I don't know, something like this where you're getting some buy imbalances, you guys can see we kind of came down in here, and then now we're starting to see buy imbalances showing up. That's considered bullish, whereas the top of the range that I'm kind of looking for right around that red region, right? So as we start approaching, as if price can get up into that region and then we start seeing buy imbalances, to me now, it's people that are buying up here because it was too risky to buy it down here, right? So those are the people that are going to get stuck up there. At that point, I'm no longer looking at buy imbalances to hold as support. I'm looking for those buy imbalances to come in, for them to fail to continue higher, and then a nice selling momentum to come through with some nice sell imbalances. That to me indicates we got potentially trapped longs. What happens when you got a nice a nice horizontal level of buy imbalances? You got sell stops right below that, right? So if you get that move to the upside that fails with some aggressive selling imbalances coming through, that's likely going to target that sell stop liquidity, which will get you that rotation. And then as the market, if you guys have ever been in the situation where you get long, the market stops you out, and then it goes in your direction, you've likely been a trap trader. All right, and that's kind of the psychology behind that. So I hope that kind of explains that. And yeah, so that's that. Let's see what else we got here. Whoever grabbed the lead trader, that person was able to catch that drop. Yeah, yes. Some of our members had a really great day today, guys. All right. Let's see who else is in here. Anything else? George, you've seen my Sierra charts have been sluggish to crap ever since. George, Sierra is um, it's a resource hog. All right. So what I'd recommend is if you've got Sierra, go into your data folder and you'll want to delete the data from the previous month contracts. That tends to add up. So let's say on the S&P 500, we're currently on the Z contracts before we were on the U's. What Sierra will do is it will um, download and it will record all of that data as you're running it. So now that we are in the Zs, you don't really need the Us. So I'd recommend deleting that. I know when I deleted a bunch of my data from the Sierra folder, that cleaned up about 30 gigs of space. So that might be an issue. You can try that out, see if that works. All right. Gold long to short ratio. Yeah, Titan. There's it doesn't surprise me that there's an overwhelming imbalance of longs to shorts on gold, given the rally that we had. It's been a pretty historic rally, to be honest. That gold rally was a almost, I think it broke the highs of 2013, right? So that was a multi-year breakout, multi-year high breakout. And generally, when you get a breakout of a key level like that, especially the fact that it was multi-year, it doesn't really surprise me that there's more longs than there are shorts at that point. Let's see if I can find the gold chart here for Titan. We can take a quick look at that. Just get this guy off. There it is. All right, so gold. I don't have a tick chart of gold up, but I do have this daily chart. All right, so if I jump out on the weekly time frame, this is the level that I'm talking about. Where was it? Right, so right around here, multi-year. This was April 2013, right around these 1440s or so, right? And so that breakout was a multi-year breakout. I mean, you can argue the zone was around these 1360s, 1380s, but let's call it 1400, right? So big breakout on that front. And just on the daily, we're just kind of consolidating here, guys. You had that big run up, and similar to how I just explained on the tick charts, when you get too many people long at a certain point, it can't go higher. It's got to get rid of some of the late longs up here, some of the weak hands. It's got to shake them out before it can continue up, right? So we've had a little bit of consolidation here. And now we're kind of pressing the top of the range. That's on the weekly. What does the daily look like? Right, so the daily, I mean, the daily, you can argue there is some pretty good support. There's a nice little double top. We had that rotation. We tried to fresh lows, couldn't quite break to fresh. We did break to fresh lows, but didn't really find much continuation. We broke back up, and then look at where we stopped. We pretty much stopped right around, those previously broken lows, and now we're rotating, finding support. Another rotation to the top, and then another rotation back to the bottom. All right, so 14, what's that, 1480s or so. Nice big support level here. Right now, I'd say kind of the target into the end of this week is probably these 1520s. If it can break that, then you can look for another rotation down, maybe into 1500 to take an attempt at those previous highs at the 1560s. All right, that's the daily. On the 4 hour, how's she looking? On the 4 hour, it's just you're seeing a bit of a range form after that previous low was taken, and that range is kind of right here, right? So this is where you would expect sellers to come into the market, right? Sellers come in, and this is where the buyers are defending, right around that level, right? So this is this is your buy zone, this is your sell zone, and this is your don't do anything in the middle zone. All right, that's what I got for you. Who was that? That's what I got for you there, Titan. All right. Let's see if there's anything else. Doesn't look like there's any other questions coming through. So it looks like I did an all right job there. All right, and what you guys are seeing now, look at what happened here. All right, so we never ended up reaching up into that level. What happened instead was as we started to get, here it is. So we had a rotation lower, buy and balance came in, right? What you want to see on these kinds of rotations is you want to see it continue on up. All right, didn't really do that, but also there was no sell imbalances. Now in this rotation, some more selling came through. Look at the level here, more buy imbalances. So buyers came in. Now we had some aggressive selling come through. So selling and selling. Now we're coming into the lower end of this range. This is really the last level that it's got to hold. If we get under here with some more sell imbalances, that could be a transition, a potential transition. And we might be shifting back down to try to retest these lows down here. All right. So we didn't quite reach up into our zone, right? But that's the reality of trading, right? You have the idea, whether it gets there or not. That's a whole different concept, right? So what we are seeing now is we had that little run up, it came back on up. Now it's getting aggressive to the downside. You see Nasdaq has kind of broken that structure, right? Here's your Nasdaq, right? So in the morning, I was saying I'm looking for that buy stop momentum to fizzle out and for the selling pressure to kind of come in. And this is the buy stop run, and you guys can see it was it was bullish until we kind of broke below that, and then once we rotated back up, retested while I was doing other things, we held and we kind of sold off. Now now the upside is gone out of the question here, and we'll be looking for now rotations up to sell off into. Where are the lows here? There's some more lows down there. All right, so you are seeing aggressive selling coming through here. And I just don't see any inventory anywhere on this chart at the moment. All right, so we'll see if it can go. So now that long side's disqualified. Now we're actively looking for potential shorts. Where can you find some potential shorts? Well, you got this sell imbalance here. It's a little bit aggressive. This one here is also quite aggressive. The region I like is kind of between these 75s to these quarters. Get a little rotation up, and then we slam that back on down. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Sorry, my throat's getting raspy here. Just been talking for quite a while. So that's what I got for today. Let me finish this off with our TradePro Performance Index, because that is part of our regularly scheduled updates here. And it is October, so we are going to sign off here with our end of month results. And so the team finished the day up
73% of the day, or not 70, 73% of the team finished the session up on today's basis. We closed 55% were green, 17% were flat, and just under 27% were down on the session. So overall, what we count for live positive is whether you're flat or you're up on the session, and that's what gives us the 73.08. So great last day in October. Unfortunately, we didn't quite reach the target we had of 70%. But that being said, we fell right back into what our average has been. Right around 67% is where we tend to end up on most months. And we started recording this guy in September 2018, and our year-to-date average is right around 67, 68%. So would have been nice to hit that 70%, but we still got another 2 more months left of Q4 and of this decade, and we're going to look to close that thing out strong. All right, so that's what I got on that front. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. A little bit of a longer session today, but it's a little bit quieter, and you guys are being interactive. You guys are asking great questions, and that's really all that I can ask for here on my end. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. I gave you guys a little bit of a sneak peek, a little bit of walkthrough on how we utilize order flow in order to kind of read the markets and identify where we might have an edge, so that we can take that, execute on those trades, and look to make that cash flow. All right, so again, if you guys are new to this page, new to our channel, if this is your first time watching, I'd really appreciate a like button. Like button. If you guys smash the like button, it's really going to help us out with the YouTube algorithm. On top of that, if you guys are new and you enjoyed this, please make sure to subscribe to the page and to check off that notification bell. We do these updates on a daily basis. George does them at 9 a.m. before the market opens. So he'll update you guys with the overnight drivers, things that can affect the market for the cash open. And then I jump on usually around noon, a little bit later today, but usually around noon, and I cover some of the drivers throughout the US session and what we've got to look forward to going into the close of the day. All right, so again, if you enjoyed it, you guys know what to do. Until next time, we'll see you here tomorrow. If not, if it's some of our members, we'll see you guys in the elite room tomorrow morning for NFP, as we look to take advantage of that and to start off the month of November on a strong note. All right, thank you, 77 figures. So I appreciate you guys for showing up. I'm just going to do a quick thank you to everybody that did show up: William, Sam, Gerald, George, Titan, Caesar, Naren, the Commodore, and Ingo. Thank you guys so much. And 77 figures. You sound like a cool individual as well. So take care, guys, and until tomorrow, we'll see you then. Ciao.